Of course
is
there
it
is.
possible that
There is.
religion is indeed
Of
the
course
root
it
of
is.
terror? Because we haven't talked about the problematic passages in the Quran and of course in what we call the Old Testament, the Tanakh. Doesn't that bother us? Is it possible that the African child of the 21st century will be better off without religion?
It's a question. That's a question. That's a good question.
What was the instruction from the chair?
He asked a question.
I'm just saying that's the last question.
Last question, all right.
Okay.
Number one, I've been asked this question before, the gun if you want to think of your gun as a terrorist organization...
I don't think that. I have no opinion on that. I'm just asking.
Okay, I don't deal with historical issues that don't have any relevance today, whether it's to your gun or whether it's Jerry Adams or anything. I just don't get involved with it because I don't think it helps. Whether or not we're better off with or without religion, is that what your question was?
It's just a general question. Because
Well, I can say one thing I can say is that the violent verses in the Jewish Bible aren't obligatory. They're descriptive of what was historically what was taking place at the time. 90-something% of them, depending on which sections you're talking about, they're not obligations, and they're not part of Jewish history, and they're not part of Jewish custom and Jewish law. It's just history of what took place at the time. And you would think, 3,000 years later, you would think people would be a little more moral in terms of how they behave.
Can you start? Yeah? Can you say?
Okay, Kathy, 2 minutes, please. Please, nothing very quick. We have to go.
First and foremost, people keep speaking about the different groups of people, terrorism. I think terrorism is an elicited response to military and police departments. For example, in the United States, we spend billions of dollars on smart bombs. The terrorists spend $6.50 on a detonator. It just goes like that. So who's smart? And as far as religion is concerned, I think it should be don't ask, don't tell. And statistics do show that the influences of religion is changing. Religion must change. How we serve our churches, organizations, synagogues, what they do must change in response as well. We all need to change. And when you ask, how does a child perpetrate these crimes against adults, it's the same way you get a kid out of the ghetto to go into the military, go over to another country and say, well, what country is this? I never heard of it. I didn't take geography. He goes over there, straps on a uniform, and he goes over there and begins to kill. It is the same thing. It's a human problem.
Okay, thank you very much for attending this event, International Day of African Child, Impact of Terrorism on the Youth of Africa. If I can just make one or two concluding remarks, there's an urgent need to pay due attention to the eminent risks related to radicalization. While specific anti-radicalization actions, in particular through education, can have positive effects, they need to be accompanied by development supports addressing the root causes of radicalization. If I might end with a quote, I quote Omar Bradley, a US general speaking more than a century ago, I quote, "Ours is a world of nuclear giants and ethical infants. We know more about war than we do about peace, more about killing than we know about living. We have grasped the mystery of the atom and rejected the Sermon on the Mount." Thank you very much.